Hey fam, it's your girl Nachi, and I'm here with.
Damaris, your favorite lioness with the high EQ.
We love to throw that out there. Oh my gosh. And we've also have our very good sis, Dhayana Alejandrina. She is back with
Hello.
us again. So welcome back, Diana. We're really excited to
Thank
have you.
I am super excited too. It's been a while, so I missed y'all.
Yes, it has been, and we're glad you're back. This is a really good conversation because we want to talk about creative stillness and what does that actually mean, right? And why it pushes against everything that we've been taught about being productive. So, creativity doesn't always start with doing, it can begin with listening. So, slowing down, paying attention, and just letting those ideas come to you. And one form of listening is writing. It's that quiet beauty of poetry and that tension between noise and stillness, especially in the world that we live in now where we have so many things that's just kind of pulling us in so many different directions and pulling at our attention. So we're really excited to just have this conversation with you about slowing down and why it makes us feel so uncomfortable and how creative communities like yours can create space for real connection and conversation. So we're happy to have you back here with us.
It's a pleasure. I'm excited to dive
Yes, absolutely.
This is something that we talked about stillness in a few episodes ago, and
Hmm.
there's so much that comes from that. And when we think about for me, like stillness means different things for different people, right? What does that look like? I guess.
in.
And for me, it's always about a state of being in that moment, not necessarily of just being physically still, but actually being being present in the moment. To me, is a form of
Yes.
stillness. And
Right.
that,
For
so,
sure.
what does that look like for you?
For me, it will be similar. I think that there are levels to stillness, like you mentioned. There's the physical stillness that we encounter when we allow ourselves to stop, to take a nap, to just breathe, and then we have like that mental stillness as well. I feel like, especially as women, we're good at organizing. I don't know,
Yes,
and
we
even if
are.
we don't want to, we are forced to. We're pretty much like, okay, tomorrow I have to do this, and an hour I have to do that. Do I have this ready? And so, mental stillness is certainly something that requires a lot of patience and intentionality to acquire. As I grow, I really notice that it's more like, okay, Diana, one thing at a time, and maybe not everything on this list will get done, but it is still a successful day. It is still a
Yeah.
successful hour, whatever it may be. So for me, it has a lot to do with the awareness of the actual meaning of it and my actions and my thoughts and what I put on my plate and how I behave that creates like that nurturing space for stillness to actually exist in my life, not just for a week, but for a long time. So yeah, and of course we know that it changes, but it's all about at least, being a little consistent with it.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. And it's funny when you said nap. I just thought about Damaris because she has a whole nap room.
I do. I
As we
do.
should, girl.
She makes it all
Right.
cozy for herself. That's where she goes and think.
And I
Even her
have the
husband's
little,
jealous of her.
yeah.
Well, you
So
should
I
make
have.
one.
That's what I
That's what
say.
I
Just,
told them.
just not in my room. That's it. Just not in my
It's like
room.
it's
Yep.
so cozy in here.
Yeah, because I put work into it. Like I have a nice little lamp that is a touch lamp, so it's like I don't even have to click. It's just it dims, it dims.
Mm,
And I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
literally.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
She's like, no sounds.
right, right, right. But I mean, and we and actually I have talked about this too. Is this idea of like the misconceptions about that comes with being productive and creativity, right? It's like
Hmm.
this we're conditioned to always be doing, and then but without the stillness, where is that gap to actually listen to yourself, to listen to what it is, the inspiration that could be coming to you? if you weren't in a constant state of doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you hear about being creative, I feel like there's a lot of that idea of like, oh, well, if I'm creative, I have to be doing something.
Yeah,
That
you
is
you feel
true.
like you said, it's like you feel like you have to do something in order to be productive. And to be honest, when you're just sitting still, and we were just talking a little bit ago about how just life is lifing and things are just constantly going and it's nonstop. For me, when it becomes too much, or I feel, because to be honest, I start to feel like I'm not productive even when I'm doing a bunch of things, right? It's just like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm not, I'm not getting what I need to get
Mm-hmm.
from the experience. And knowing that, I have to stop myself and kind of take a moment and just say, you know what? Let me just be quiet. Let me be still. Let me just not feel like I have to do something, and just,
Mm.
whether that's laying down or
Correct.
whatever the case may be, but it's just allowing that stillness to take over you, and not allow the pressure of life, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
to kind of
No, that's
take
true.
over, because it does stop your creativity. It's like you have all these ideas in your head, but also feel like you don't have the time, or that you're just not doing enough. But
Mm.
taking a step back, actually, I think opens up opportunities for yourself, or just newer ideas to kind of to start something that you've been wanting to do for a while, and not being stuck in this wheel of, well, I'm just not productive enough. I'm not doing enough. But you're
Yeah, that's
doing
such
a
a
million things, right? But that,
right.
but all of what you're doing is not really, you're not achieving what, what you're trying to reach for.
For
So
sure.
taking a step back is, I find it to be important, when you're trying to get your creative juices flowing.
I find it's
Mm-hmm.
like for me, the stillness is when I'm in the moment of doing something. Like I said before, it's not just me being still physically, but like I'm in the middle of something, but I'm very focused on that task. It
Hmm.
actually for me is a form of like stillness, in that my mind is just one track and I'm just focused on that,
Oh yeah.
so that I definitely get the inspiration. And for me, it's honestly how I feel I get that connection from the most high. Like whatever intuition, whatever I'm supposed to hear and whatever I'm supposed to be guided with, I get that when I'm just like focused on what I'm supposed to do, because my mind has quieted, because I'm not focused on so many things. I'm just focused on that one thing. But my mind is
That's
quiet
true.
enough to then receive whatever messages I need to receive, or
Mm.
the inspiration to, for that idea. I mean,
Yeah, I
what
think
do you find?
writing, yeah, I think writing does that as well. I think about like when I'm writing in my journal, especially when I have a lot going on, where there's just so much in my head, where it's just like whatever I'm feeling at that
Mm-hmm.
moment, it could be like frustration or anger or whatever the case may be. In order for me to kind of let it go, I have to write it out. And that's
Mm.
also a meditative way, like you was just saying, Damara, is
To
just
do.
doing
Mm-hmm.
something that you just putting your attention to helps you to just kind of think, and
Right.
and new ideas come to you. I feel writing does the
It
same
really can
thing,
do.
right?
Yeah, and I think, I mean, putting it all together, I believe that patience is a prerequisite of presence. And if you're not patient, you will be unable to be present. And so, with patience comes that clarity of mind, of purposely being in the moment with a task, with a person, with whatever it is that you're doing, right? Like Damari says, like, okay, I'm doing this one thing, and I can give this one thing a full 40 minutes of my presence.
Mm-hmm.
And that is stillness. And it really is, because you're trying to just focus on that and not think about the 20 other things that you have to do after it, which then causes stress and anxiousness and worries.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we go in the rabbit hole of not even noticing how much we're actually doing. So I think really patience is a big prerequisite of presence, and from there is where we like cultivate that stillness in what we do. And a lot of it, like you mentioned, spills onto our creativity and our creations, because we know when we have rushed a piece of writing, a poem, a story, editing a podcast, right? Like, okay, we rushed through
Right.
this, we missed something, and that's because we're not really being present in the development of this creation. And yeah, it definitely will show in our lives in many ways, and I guess that's a huge point of like why creative stillness and how it has to do with a lot of things we do in life.
And so I know before we kicked off our episode, we briefly talked about a new project you've been working on, which is it's an anthology, right, of poems. So
Poetry and essays.
okay. So I'm curious to hear a little bit about that, about why, how do you find, like, what did you hear from other creatives about that idea of stillness and, finding that creativity? Because we started the show with like it's different for everyone. What that looks like could be different for
Mm,
everyone, but and different things can resonate with different people. And like with Nacha, she's a big writer. I don't write as much as she does, but for me it's usually like I'm in the shower, I'm like baptizing myself, and then I get my ideas. I'm like, oh, let me do this. I'll be like, let me clear myself of all this negativity.
Right. Open
I'm
yourself up
watching
to the
I'm
messages.
yes, I'm watching the water drain. I'm like, that's all the fear, anxiety going down the drain. And I gotta talk to myself like this.
yeah.
But I'm curious to hear, because I know that part of this work that you've been working on was around creative stillness, and
Mhm.
I'd be interested to hear, like, what did you find while going through that?
Yeah, so some of the I had like also reached out to the writers and asked them what it meant to them, and a lot of them said, like safe space or like a sacred moment in their life or just like awareness, and it is very different for everybody because it has a lot to do with the life that we live, even where we live, our
Right.
resources, everything, what that stillness looks like for you. And especially when we say creative stillness, what does that look like in regards to our way of expressing ourselves, whether you're an artist or a painter or a dancer, cinematographer, poet, whatever, fiction writer, podcaster, what does that look like? How does that stillness translate onto your living projects? And so with putting this book together, um, I really was forced to tap into a different level of stillness because now my stillness is not so much centered on my individuality, but now it is in the creative stillness of other voices and the importance of creating a space within this collection that reflects their stories and poems in the most proper, honorable, and beautiful way as possible, which I had to strip myself of, everything and really pour
Right.
into what that is for them. And what it is for me, meaning like just being for the community. Like this project truly is a representation of um, the fact that stillness. So, and now I don't know if you guys want me to break down what it is right now, but I think it's mostly before breaking it down too much. How are we living our lives in a way that gives us the space to create from reality instead of, survival mode or anything other than presence and receiving that information, like you said, that It's like how are we opening our ears and our heart to receiving the type of information that we need or that we're missing or that we should correct as well. Because not everything that we do, may be the right thing. So there is a lot of information and a lot of wisdom in this creative stillness that I have learned.
Yeah, I think too that's interesting is in this world of, we're like in a place where there's so much opportunity for creativity, right? And in a way that it hasn't existed before, given all the digital platforms and the spaces to speak to others, build community. I think that's a beautiful thing that we have access to now. But there is a tension between the noise and the stillness, right? And the noise, to me, that the noise is everything outside of yourself. And a lot of that is like the expectation, the societal pressures, everything that you feel like you have to be doing. And like you had just talked about, that that thing of just like, expectations around you having to live your life, but are you creating the space for creativity? I'm fascinated by, like, right now there's such fragmentation with attention span, which I think makes it even more challenging for people to create that space of stillness, create that space to be creative. And I think about content back in the day, like the way it started to evolve is like, make this bite size, do this, make it shorter. And now it's like you literally have 2 to 3 seconds to get someone's attention. And it's like, so do you create content and do you create work to just get someone's attention for 2 to 3 seconds, or do you just create the work that you're passionate about, and you're like, this is the way I needed to speak me, and I can't speak for other, like, I can't create this content so that you decide that you like it, but more so that I know this is what I love. And I wonder how, especially artists, just like, how do they deal with that kind of challenge? Because I find it challenging for us. Like, we could talk for hours on our podcast. We just edit it down to like 50 minutes to an hour, because it's like, okay, do people really want to hear us talk for 2 hours? I don't know. I mean, they listen to Joe Rogan, I guess.
Right.
Throw that out there.
And so, but at the same time, it's like, I know people's attention span. I look at the data, and a lot of people, depending on the episode topic, they may listen for the first 20 minutes. And I'm like, damn, we got to the good stuff at the 25-minute mark.
Towards that.
What are you doing?
And y'all already closed it.
Yeah. And so it's just like, and at the same time, I just feel like some people just don't have the attention span for it. And but what am I supposed to do? What I have to say is not going to take 2 to 3 seconds. It's going to take more to consume. Do not, and maybe you guys don't care. I don't know. Maybe we do one episode a year and never come back.
I mean, I think it has a lot to do with like what matters to you, though. Like, I feel like if we keep, like, mind you, I understand that social media keeps on changing, which is like very impactful to us creatives. It doesn't matter what you do. But I think you have to look outside of it, and that is what people are finding it very difficult, because everybody wants to fit into Instagram or into the socials, which is what we have been forced to do, to think that there's no other way of cultivating a real community in person. And if you do know how to do it, because it's not like, like just throwing ideas out there. It's not like if y'all don't decide, y'all could throw an event one day where you guys are talking and people are coming and there is a topic of discussion. But I understand the difference between, having to cut down the podcast, and then, like, for writers, it's like, well, now we have to show our face more and our life a little more. And people are not just reading the poems that we post, and now we have to actually record ourselves, reading the poem. And sincerely, that's just not been for me. I found it very difficult throughout the years to show my face, because sincerely, it's like, well, I don't want to show too much of my life. I wish that I didn't have to, but I had to look at it personally. The way I look at my social media is, this is my creative portfolio. I'm going to put here what I want people to look or know about me if they want to work with me, if they want to hire me. This is my portfolio. It has taken a lot of the pressure away from what type of content it is. And I had to really realize that quickly, because there was a point where I questioned, I don't have 200K followers. I don't want to feel the pressure of, like, I have to make the video. I have to do this. And mind you, it's not like, I know I have some shit to talk about. I know that I can say a lot of great things, but I don't want to do it out of the pressure of I'm falling behind on socials, because that's not true. Right. It's very, very, to me, it's untrue with the type of impact that I'm trying to make outside of it. But of course, there's just a balance of, like, okay, well, I still have to play the game. AI is out there. I still have to learn what it is. I don't want to fall completely behind. So I still have to know how we're moving in the platforms. But it is unfortunate for many people that no longer older poets that I've known that don't post anything anymore or never posted their book. It's just, it can be very discouraging for like emerging creatives who just focus on socials. Like, you know what I mean? It can be really hard.
I could see how that could be frustrating. And from like a personal perspective, that that person to person interaction like outside of social media is absolutely different. And I think when you in that type of environment, a person can get so much more out of it. And I feel like you do get to know individuals and artists on on a personal level versus just kind of, I see social media very one sided, and I like the way that you put it as that's my portfolio. That's where you can see all of my work and how you can work with me.
Mhm.
And that's probably a good thing for people to especially artists to kind of think of it in that way, that it's just not a one stop, a one shop stop. It's use it for what it is, but building that community outside of that, I think is more valuable. And I feel like that's been lost a little bit because people are so focused on the social media aspect of it. And
Yeah.
so I love the idea of just kind of separating and segmenting what that is and how you use that.
Yeah. I hate social media, but we do have to use it, and it's for Nachi and I. It's been a challenge in a way that working with our assistant, she has great ideas, and she's like, yeah, do more videos of you too, and I'm like, you mean outside of the
You're like
episode?
me. What do you mean? Like me talking?
I'm like, but
Yeah.
why y'all
Holding a
care?
camera all the
You know,
time. Get out of here.
but I do, I get the point of like sharing a side of yourself with the
Right.
people, with people in your community. And I think that's why I like us using Substack, because it feels more like a community where we can
Oh,
build with
yes.
more like-minded folks and talk a little bit easier. I don't know, just like the connection feels more genuine there than with Instagram. It feels like I'm just talking at people and I hope they listen and
Right.
reply back. And it's not the
Mm,
same two-way street as it is with Substack. So that's your
I
hint,
agree.
listeners. Go join Substack and follow us. Thank you.
Sponsor
But
us.
but but it's interesting though, as we talk about stillness, that for a lot of people it's something that brings discomfort in a oddly way. Like, you think about stillness, you're like, what could be uncomfortable with being still? And a lot of that though, like, it's surprising. I even think about my mother, right? Like, we come from that very traditional Dominican household. The women cleaning, doing shit nonstop. Siempre hay oficio, right? Like, it's like, yo, chill the fuck out. Like, why are you waking me up Saturday at 9 o'clock in the morning? I just want to chill and sleep in. There's none of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, seeing my mom, she's always been nonstop. It's exhausting to watch her. And even in her dementia state, that is ingrained in her. And it's just like, but I understand. I've come as an adult through experience. I realize that for a lot of people, stillness will bring up stuff that they are not ready to handle. It's a form of
Mm-hmm.
healing, whether you even think of it that way or not.
Absolutely.
Being still is a form of healing. And for some people aren't ready to heal. So when y'all see me take a nap, or when I'm telling them chill out, know that I'm healing. I am in the process of
Do not
regenerating.
interrupt.
Yes, I'm regenerating. And so I'm just like, I need y'all all to just relax. But
They're like, no, I
um
want to
yeah.
disassociate.
Mm-hmm. We
But
must.
I
We
think
have to
it's
have those times.
but I think it's uncomfortable for people because they don't want to face their truth, right? Because what
Correct.
happens is that when you're still, not silent, but still, you start to things start to come up in a way that's like, oh wow, I this is why I feel this way. I feel
Mm-hmm.
this is why this bothers me. And for some, yeah, you start getting to the root of it, and you're like, holy shit, this was because that fight that I had on third grade. Yeah, but
You start peeling the onion. Yeah.
there's that inner
Yes.
child stuff that you're like, oh my God, I never
Mm-hmm.
resolved, how I felt like, my father wasn't around or my mom wasn't around. And so all those things, and so some people aren't ready for that. But honestly, it's in those moments where you then get that inspiration to write that poem
Mm,
or to write that essay, that story, a fiction based loosely on your life, of just
mm-hmm.
like, let me tell this story because I know what I
For sure.
experienced. So I wonder, like, why is it uncomfortable for some people? I can, that's
Right.
just my 2 cents, but
I think you hit it
Mm.
off, and yeah, I mean, you're right. It's just, I mean, I was there before when it was really uncomfortable for me to be still, and people praised me for how well I handle so many things, but it was just a way to mask away everything that I was feeling inside. So as people were like, Diana, you do so much, like, blah, 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 I'm here like screaming inside because I need help, right?
Right.
Because I'm like so lost within myself, and I can't really vocalize that, right? Out of fear of being seen as weak or too vulnerable or saying no to people. So a lot has to do with you understanding the power and the meaning of your voice. Like even in the way that you talk to yourself and in the
mm-hmm.
way that you approach and address other people. As simple as saying no thank you, I can't make it to that event because you're prioritizing something else in your life. So I mean, you're right. I think stillness is definitely a tool for healing, and particularly like when I think of creative stillness, the root of it was, aside from like being a term coined from the writer's block, is that sometimes stillness can also look like um, right, being still and allowing ourselves to listen to our voice, but also other information to come in, like the birds singing, and wanting
Mm-hmm.
to take a walk or call your best friend and talk to her about whatever, maybe you or somebody in your family you haven't spoken to, or doing a creative activity that has nothing to do with what you usually love, and being like spontaneous in your life. There's that creative stillness of disconnecting, even, like let me turn my phone off for an hour and do whatever I want. So there's definitely levels of it depending on what you require in the moment, and
Right.
a lot of beautiful things can come out of that, and hard things too.
Yeah, yeah, because I think it takes courage to slow down. That's for sure. It takes
Mhm.
courage to be still because you'll, again, if it's a form of healing, and if you're in that space, then yeah, you'll have to face
And
some
it's hard
things
if you
that,
don't have anybody
yeah,
that's doing it for you
yeah.
to have, like, literally create the blueprint of what it is to have a slower life. Because my mom makes fun of me and my brother. They're like, "Oh, tú eres tan lenta." Yes, ma'am. And I love it. I'll be like, I'll be there when I get
This is my
there.
life.
And I
Yes.
know I'm not lenta. I know I'm not slow,
No,
but I'm slower than they are. Why? Because who really is waiting for me?
Right. Why am I
you know?
rushing to go where to do what?
Correct. To forget something? No, ma'am. I'm going to go ahead and take my time.
right,
And that's
right.
it. That's it.
So, Diana, what do you see for the future of creative communities, right? Now, we talked about this, and I do feel like there is a shift from just wanting to have a large social media following to getting
Mm,
back to that space of truly doing the work that you're called to do, whatever that looks like, even if it's
mm.
not going to be popular, but taking that step in that direction because I see it, but I see it in subtle ways. But you're more ingrained in that, and I'm curious to hear about what do you think the future of those communities? What does that look like?
I mean, I only have assumptions, but at least what I would love people to know from my perspective is to seek what their community is missing, like their real community where they live. If you have a creative
Mm.
gift, put it to work with the people around you as well. Take a step back, like we talked about, from the socials and actually ask yourself, what type of long term impact do I want to have in my community? And how can I
Mm.
translate that onto, yeah, like my socials? Like, how can I also invite people to be more involved in their community. Social media will always be there. There's always going to be something that's changing. Next thing you know, people is only going to have a second and a half of attention with your reels.
Right, right.
But people in your real life needs you, so seek and ask questions about what it is in your community that's missing. How can your voice, your art, your podcast, your writing help other people that are around you, where you're actually building the community? And that is the root of it all, the essence of your work. And then social media just becomes secondary. Now I'm just like showing you what I actually do in real life. And I'm inviting you in to also tap into the necessities of our community, especially if our impact is supposed to be generational and that other people wants to see us at work. Because if you ask me, that it's a double-edged sword, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
It can minimize your voice because you're trying to compete with people that have way more followers, and you're constantly comparing your work to others. Or it could serve as your own personal, a space to show what authenticity and real community is like. And people are watching. We may not think they are, but there are people who are saying, "Hey, Damaris and Nachi's podcast is so natural, free flowing, blah blah blah." But like you're saying, Nachi, sometimes we're just so focused on like this doesn't matter, like this actually worth the time. And that's
Mm-hmm.
because again, that patience and that presence in our work would definitely blind us from the actual impact that we're creating. So I hope that people stop using community as a marketing term, because when you meet them, you meet them in person, they're absolutely not about genuine community. They can't have a
Right.
conversation with you. They don't have time to speak to you.
They're like, I have 2 to
Um,
3 seconds. It's a reel.
Right.
You're
It's
like,
like,
this is
no.
real
like
life.
like I'm trying to see who you are,
Right.
and I get it. Not everybody's going to be able to have the long conversation, but I think that has that will tell us a lot. Are you really this person when I meet you in
Yeah.
person?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, honestly, people have to ground themselves in their beliefs and their faith in their actual real life in order to create impactful communities that matter long term.
Now, I love that. And also, what I took away from that was Nachi. She said to be patient. And that's really about me. Because I know Nachi's laughing. Because every other month,
Let me
I'm like,
tell you,
Nachi, I
yes.
don't know if we
She
should
wants
do this podcast.
and the funny
She's
thing is
like,
that because I know that she is on this, well, we're not where we should be by this
Yeah.
point, and I'm like,
According to
girl,
who?
are we
Who?
yeah,
we enjoying this ourselves? Like, we did
mm,
this for a reason, and we wanted to collectively bring everyone who is like us together so that shit, we could just commune like, okay, we not alone. We could do
No,
this
mm-hmm.
together. And so I talk her off the ledge because she's just like, we should be X, Y, Z. I'm like, girl, I need you to stop.
it's not about like when she says, and then I want it to be bigger. It's not like I
No,
want us
no,
to be
yes.
famous. I don't want to be famous. Actually,
She's
I
just
just
looking
want
at the timeline.
I just like I
And she
want more
has
listeners so that so we can have a bigger community. Like I know there's more of us
Girl, you
like
may
us.
have to start recording them videos like you're.
Shut up.
Trust me, I'm on the same boat. I'm on the same boat. I got mine telling me, well, we're gonna have to do these little clips. All right, here we go. You know,
And
we're like, you're wrong. We don't need to do
she's like, okay, stick with your small
yeah.
group. I'm like, I love my small community. I just know there's more like-minded
Oh
people like
gosh.
us, and I want to tap into that. But I just, I'm
But
letting you know.
I do want to add to that though. I think just on a different note, I think that as creators, we have to be we do have to be a little delusional with the approach that we take because
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's true.
I know sincerely because as an author, if I only thought like, oh, I can only do workshops and books, like I can't
Mm-hmm.
collaborate with random brands or like
Mm-hmm.
I would not have done a lot of the things that I've gotten myself into. But I'm delusional enough to pitch. I'm delusional enough to say yes, to put myself in very uncomfortable positions and learn from it and be around people that I'm asking questions. And I have
Mm-hmm.
doubted myself in big moments where like for example, I spoke at Trilith Studios. Is a studio here in Georgia where they film movies and commercials. And it's a huge studio, and I walked in for my panel, and I was like, I don't fit here. Like what am I doing here? Literally, I asked myself because it's a huge stage, and I'm sitting with people who have been in a Superman movie and who are making short like movies or like bite-sized reels with stories, and I'm here like, and I'm not her, and I'm a poetry, but like you constantly minimize yourself, so you feel like you don't belong in those spaces. But I've really won creatives out there, just people that feel like they have a calling to be more audacious, to say like, I do want my book to be at the clinic. Let me pitch to the doctor.
Right.
You want to carry my book? Like let's think outside of the box. Where can you host your podcast? Who can you reach to that may not be to record a podcast, but something else that's putting your community in a place where people are discovering. So I love to think outside the box and work with people that are not normal for the industry.
Right. Yeah. No, I love that.
I know I'm not normal. My
we fit.
Yeah, my husband calls me weird, and I'm like, I guess I am. Who wants to be a normie? Not me.
Right.
So I'll take it. He's like, you don't think you're weird? I was like, no. And he's like, okay. I'm like, I guess
embrace it.
I'm like, I guess because I do think I'm an alien, maybe I should be considered. But yeah, so
You're killing me.
I'm not from this world. I'm not of it. I'm just in it, observing. I'm a witness.
Here for the ride.
What is normal, huh?
That's a good question.
But so, what is? I know you do this thing. It's called the Creative Writing Hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, can you tell us a little bit more about that, and how do you find that you end up fostering dialogue, creative dialogue?
Girl, oh my gosh, the Creative Writing Hour started 2 years ago. And it started out of the idea that and I know there's a lot of spaces, but that didn't stop me. It was just like, obviously writing can be a very lonely process. And just even trusting in your ideas by yourself without having somebody to talk to them, about can be very discouraging. So I was like, what it would look like for me to just host a session via Zoom free for writers and creatives that just want to be together to work, like actively work on something. Or if you're just new and you're like, I kind of like writing, I just want to come in and read and journal, that's also for you. So that's how it started. And at first it was supposed to be just once a month, and it became a twice a week thing.
Oh, wow.
My best friend was like, girl, how do you expect people to be consistent if you don't host it more often? I was like, I guess so. Yeah, I know, right?
You out.
Pushed me.
Like you want to do something, but you're not doing it.
I was like, just a little bit.
Is it
and
also
it grew.
Virtual?
It is virtual. Yeah. So we meet Thursdays and Sundays via Zoom. Thursdays 8 to 9:15, and Sundays 1:30 to 3 p.m. And we work on our projects or ideas for like an hour, then have a time to ask questions, to get feedback, to just talk about life and really how all of our existence like directly impact our work. And also the pause. Sometimes you have people who don't come for a month, and then I welcome them back, and we're able to kind of talk about what has happened during that month. And it's been beautiful. We have people from all over the world. We have people that join sometimes from Africa, from Australia.
Oh, that's so nice.
And it's wonderful to kind of like really understand the different stories and just get to see people birth their projects, even if they're just private projects that never get out. And we have over 300 members now. I'm really proud of that.
Wow, congratulations.
And it's just been,
that's wonderful.
It's been a blessing.
Yeah.
And that's how the anthology came about, because we won a grant through Gatekeeper Press, and I decided to pour it into the Creative Writing Hour community. So everyone that's featured here is a member that decided to submit, and here we are.
I love that. I love that.
That's awesome.
So is the book available now?
The book is not available yet. Fingers crossed it will be available at the end of the month. We do have 2 virtual readings that we'll be doing April 23rd and Sunday, April 26th. So they will be reading their pieces via Zoom. You guys are welcome to come. It's free. And you can bring friends and family.
No,
And
we'll
then we'll
definitely
have
put
two
that.
events in New York.
We'll put that in the show notes too, just so like for people who are
Yeah.
interested in joining the creative hour. And I think that's awesome. I think the
That
idea, and
is.
this is what to me is important, like the social media is a platform to tell people about these spaces, but the spaces themselves exist outside of that where you
Mm,
have more
Mm-hmm.
time to connect with individuals
for
and,
sure.
and of different types of creative backgrounds too. So I think that's great, and it really, I know I always get inspired when I hear other people's stories because it's always like, oh wow, and then it gets me thinking about certain things in my life, and I'm
Hmm.
like, so I think that's
Yeah.
that's a beautiful thing. And it's just really the idea of connection, and
Right.
to me that's huge. And so I I'm excited about what we're gonna be doing with you over the coming weeks about like really getting people kind of galvanizing folks to really think about being still in this creative process and how that can look like individually for us, but also,
Right.
as a little
As a
community.
collective.
Yeah, as a collective. So, is there anything that you wanted to add before we kind of wrap up? Because I think I want to make sure that I'm going to put all that stuff in the show notes for sure. Because I think that's, again, is it free? You said,
Yeah, the creative
okay.
arena.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, yes. There's a form
awesome.
on my website, so it's
Okay,
literally just adding your name and your email.
awesome.
But honestly, I'm just really grateful for the opportunity to speak to you both about, what creative stillness and stillness overall really means to us because I've had moments in my life where people had to wake me up to the comparison game and the rush game and
Mm-hmm.
this. Some of the most astonishing writers out there and authors published their best works when they were in their 40s and their 50s, and I'm just like, here I am trying to think that I'm going to write the best thing out there at this age. There's just so much for me, God willing to live and learn. And so I really do want people out there to just to be a little more patient and listen to their surroundings, right? And to themselves and truly ask themselves like, why am I creating? Is it for a validation of an
Mm,
outsider benefit, or what is it, really just what is it? Maybe ask yourself that every month, like, because maybe
yeah.
something shifts and it could be a good thing, like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I don't like this anymore, this color could change, and that's great. Like, after working on the current book cover for a month and a half, I completely say scratch it, doesn't
Mm,
resonate with me anymore. And it was a really, really bold move because it's literally like 3 weeks before I need to wrap up some serious work for it. And I was just like, well, this is the way that I honor,
right.
my voice and my work.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
publish something that is not representing the heart of this collection. So, how brave and courageous can we be to understand that it is okay to take our time and to birth our projects in certain ways that maybe the social media doesn't have to see it, but our community center does, or
Mm-hmm.
our spouses do, or children, or friends. Like, what does that look like to create the dinners that we want to be invited to? So,
No,
that takes patience and presence
that
and
does.
a lot
And
of steps back.
yeah, no, I appreciate that because even as you said that, it made me think about, again, just our journey with the podcast and how we even got here. It was, for me, it was, and just a calling of like, you know what, let me share what I've learned over our lives. And you mentioned it's never too late. Yes, we were in our 40s, when we started this. I mean, I'm still in my 40s, but it's just like, yeah, like, okay, it's not too late. And I feel like I have something to share that we both do, but there are things that I know other people are experiencing too. So I know we're not alone in this, and I don't want other people to feel like
Absolutely.
they're alone, because once they hear what we're talking about, they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I've been through that too." Or, I
Mm,
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I have access to that. So it's just like it's therapeutic for
yeah.
us, but at the same time, it's like, okay, this is my voice, and this is what we're here to deliver on. And I appreciate my listeners because lately we haven't been consistent with content, but we still get love no matter what anytime we put something out. And I'm just like, so I'm grateful. Even if there's 10 of y'all, I'm grateful for all 10. Like, I promise you, I'll do it for you guys. And so, As much as I'm always threatening about like not doing this, every time I think about not doing it, I promise you I get a sign that's like, girl, it's like my divine team is like, shut up and sit down. Just get back to work. Get on the mic and shut up. And so I'm like, okay. You know.
Yes.
So
Here we go.
And that's, yeah, that's why I love the idea of patience. Like you said, Diana. I think that's going to be key, because we get ahead of ourselves. We want to be at a certain phase or stage in our life because we look at, like age, for instance. It's like, oh, but by this time in my life, I should be doing X, Y, and Z. And that may not be the path that was set for you, and it's just like, just taking in everything that's around you, just kind of being within that experience. So,
Yes.
yeah, I think patience is definitely key. And it's important to remember, because even myself, I forget, and I want to pace myself,
Right.
and pick up the pace rather, because I feel like I'm falling behind on something, and
that
the
can blind
reality
us too.
is, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Because you have to ask yourself again. It's like, for who? Why am I
Right.
rushing this?
Why
Who
am I rushing?
who is
Right.
this for? And then when you realize that it's not for yourself, but for like every other reason outside of you, then it's like, no. Then at what point is like your self-preservation the most important thing? Right? And it's like, and that's part of it. So I appreciate that. I appreciate your reminders, even though they
Yes.
were.
They really do be reminders for myself too.
She was. Thank you. Thank you.
Listen, talking to all of us. Had to go through it and learn it. I'm still being like, Lord, what are you trying to teach me? Because
Yeah,
it's just
me.
easier to forget the support that we have to whenever we are in such a rushed state. We start saying things like, I'm just doing this all by myself. And I've been there. I do it sometimes. I'm like, no, I'm not. There's people who are constantly asking me if they can help me with something. So it's definitely an ongoing journey, but I think it becomes easy, not necessarily easier, but more like acceptable to ourselves and beautiful when we just like have the path clear mentally of like, okay.
Yeah, definitely. No, we appreciate you coming on our show. It's always a pleasure, and you always share the best insight. No, and it's like, I'm so happy. It's funny, we talked about social media, but that is how we found each other, though. And
We really did.
And for those of you that don't know, I met her in person, and she is
A ride or
a
die.
doll. Yes, like it's just like, so this is a real relationship. This isn't like, oh, we're just in.
No, for real.
No, I appreciate your time and what you ultimately contribute and give creatively to the community and to the world. Thank you for your light.
Yes,
Thank you
absolutely.
both as well.
Yeah,
I love you guys, and I'm
thank
always
you.
really excited of all you guys are doing and how you guys continue to just show up. So keep at it.
Thank you. No, I
We
appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Yes, very much so. And as always, reminding folks, there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of chaos. Yes, I know. But our message is always consistent. Stop getting distracted by the smoke and mirrors. Tune out the noise. Focus on your divine purpose in life. Vibrate high to elevate your frequency. And always thank you for listening.